If I was to start my pretirement now, here's what I would do. This is part 3 of a 5-part series. And today we're going to talk about money. All right. This is the topic that can stop us in our tracks sometimes, right? It's important at this phase in your pretirement planning to really get honest about money and the emotion behind it and the facts as well. This is where most of us get stuck, and sometimes we want to avoid it instead of facing it. And I am a testament to that. I'm guilty of playing avoidance with my finances for sure over the years. That's absolutely without a doubt. And that's something that I'm still working on. It's very, very, very clear to me that I feel much better and things are much better, and it's much healthier to take action and to do something about it than it is to avoid it. All right, so I've got some thoughts here that I want to share. First, I want to preface this by saying we should be approaching this, we do our best to take the fear out of it and take the emotion out of it and focus on the facts. I'm going to contradict myself a little bit as I talk today because there's certain emotions that I do think need to be addressed, but I'll address that separately. So in terms of facts, let's start with the facts. Know your numbers. What does it take for you to live? How much does it cost? What are your fixed expenses? What are your flexible variable expenses? And what does that look like? Can you trim some fat? Starting with the variable expenses, looking at what can go. Do you spend money out of emotion? Do you spend it out of habit? Are you spending it out of necessity? Does it serve you? Does it feed you? Is it helping you achieve your goals to spend this money in this particular way? Taking a look at all of that. And then on fixed expenses, do those really need to be where they're at? Is there anything that can be done about that? So for me, the fixed expenses that I had when I first started looking at this is I had monthly rent, I had car payments, I had credit card payments. Those aren't really fixed, but credit card payments every month, insurance payments, all of those types of things. And I realized that if I could get rid of that rent payment, that was going to significantly impact my freedom and flexibility. So that meant looking at a different way to live. It might mean downgrading your lifestyle. I mean, I was living it was a very small apartment, but it was in a very expensive dream town. I was living in the Laguna Beach town, loved it there, but it was really expensive. Not just the rent, but even just surviving in that area was very expensive. So I had to ask myself, was I ready and willing to change that and give that up? Could I? So looking at your fixed expenses, and with my car payment, could I pay that down? Could I pay off my credit card? So I did that. I paid off my credit cards. I paid off my car. I got my debts down. I wanted to have my monthly expenses to be as minimal as they possibly could get. Disclaimer. I am clearly not a financial advisor or an expert. I'm terrible at budgeting. This is definitely not an area of my life where it's a strength. It's definitely a challenge that I have. My only strength financially has been my ability to earn money. My weakness has been my ability to keep that money and grow that money. So I'm still learning that. So I want you to take what I'm saying, through that lens. I'm just sharing what I did to make it possible. because I hear from many of you who want to design your pre-retirement, you want to live a different life, you want to approach things differently, but you say, I can't afford it. I don't have the money. Uh, I I can't make it happen now. And what I'm saying is, yes, you can if you really want to, but there's some adjustment that needs to happen and possibly some sacrifice that needs to be made. So you're making sure that you know your numbers, know exactly what you have coming in, exactly what you have going out. Oh, I got note here to look at your invisible spending. I went into my Apple account a couple of years ago. In fact, I'm way overdue to do this again. I went into my Apple account to find out the recurring charges for like apps that I had signed up for, or just mindless things that I, in some cases, didn't even remember why. And it adds up. Getting rid of those subscriptions, getting rid of those recurring expenses absolutely adds up over time. So, where do you have hidden expenses? Check all of your statements to see any auto charges that you have coming through. Check your credit cards, check your checking account so that you have a good idea of what's being automatically charged. Are there things that you can cancel and let go of? Streaming services. Do we need 20 streaming services? I mean, I know we originally cut the cord with cable and started to stream because it saved money. We are now spending way more on all these streaming services than we did when we were spending on cable, right? Kind of ironic. The joke's on us, but taking a look at those things and seeing where you can make changes and cut back. And in terms of what's coming in, I'm a big proponent of multiple streams of income. So, do you have multiple streams of income coming in? If you have a primary source of income, if that got shut off for some reason, do you have other ways that you've got money coming in? And lots of different ways to do that. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but especially nowadays and online and with technology and everything, there's a lot of different ways that you can make money, and that you can have your money making money, and that you can create some passive income. So if you only have one stream of income and you are reliant on that, it's time to take a look at what other streams you could have. This is something Gen X could absolutely learn from Gen Z and young millennials, because they are all over this. They saw their Gen X parents and their boomer parents suffer every time a company decided that they were done with us. And so our younger generations are just like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to rely on. I mean, not only are more of them becoming entrepreneurs, but more of them are diversifying with how they're earning money. So think about that for you as well. Checking my notes. Yes, this feels scary. Of course, it's going to feel scary. Most of us were not taught to figure this out clearly. I was given a rule book. I was basically taught, maybe nobody actually said this to me, but based on what I saw, based on the messages that I received, I thought if I went to school, went to college, got good grades, got a degree, got a good job, did a good job at the job, that it would pay, that the company would take care of me, it would pay off, I would have a pension or a retirement fund at the end, and all would be right with the world. And then the world changed, and the world has changed many times. So it's not surprising that this is a little scary for us to look at, especially those like myself who I didn't do all the things that I quote should have done. I did not save enough when I was younger. I was not consistent enough with my saving. I did not educate myself enough on investments and investing. So I made a lot of mistakes along the way. So as a result of that, it becomes scary sometimes to look at the numbers because I know I'm behind. I know that that number is not big enough. I know that it's not enough. What I don't know is I don't know what is enough. So that is one of the things that we need to also be aware of. What do you consider enough? What is it that would work for you? So, really considering that as you're doing your planning and preparation. I want to talk for a minute around the emotions around money and finances. So I mentioned that I didn't necessarily do everything that I should have done, that would have been better to do. And I felt a lot of guilt and shame around that. And even up until pretty recently, I mean, recently in the last few years. So, feeling a lot of guilt and shame, I realized that it was imperative that I forgive myself for past behavior and past things that I didn't do. And I also and that also led to changing my mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. When I was younger and when I was like, I was good at earning money and making money, but I definitely was like, there was like a desperation around it. And there was always a scarcity in it. So I always ended up having like just enough. No matter how much money I was making, I always ended up with like just enough. Never a lot extra. Even though I should have had a lot extra. That's a long story. I'm not a frivolous spender either. So it's very long and complicated, but I do believe it comes down to a mindset of scarcity. And if I believe that it's scarce, I'm going to make that the reality. Once I was able to kind of let go of my guilt and shame and let go of the anxiety and the fear, I started to feel more open to the abundance. I started to realize that I am just as worthy of having extra as anyone else. I was just as worthy of having comfort as anyone else. And it has led to a strong faith and conviction. It's been really important for me to hold on to my faith during this journey, because even when in black and white, it still says I do not have enough to retire in 5 years or 6 years or whatever. Even though that is the reality, I am grounded in the faith that I am going to figure it out and I am going to make it work and I'm going to thrive, not just now, but later. I have a sense of faith that it's coming my way. The energy is starting to flow and I'm starting to feel abundant and I feel like I'm going to be taken care of. I feel like I've gotten messages of reassurance that you are going to be fine. And I've always been uber independent, taking care of myself, making it work. I just feel like that's not going to change. I'm a smart woman with a lot to offer and a lot of skills, and I'm going to do what it takes to make it happen. And I am doing what it takes to make it happen. And I just have faith that whether it's God, my higher power, the highest, best version of myself, the universe, watching out for me and continuing to steer me in the right direction. So if you have any mindset issues around money, around finances, around preparing for retirement financially, I think that's worth looking at. I think you need to free yourself up, because as long as you are trapped by that frustration and that anxiety and that burden and that heaviness that of financial burden, I think you're blocking money from coming to you. You're blocking abundance. You're blocking that stability coming in your direction. All right, so just take a look at what's coming in, what's going out. Can you reduce what's going out? Can you increase what's coming in? And don't get so worried and hung up about the number at the end. We can connect together. We can make it happen together. We've got what it takes. We are Gen X. We are darn resilient. And there's this one phrase that I wanted to share that just poof blew my mind. Clarity reduces fear. Avoidance fuels it. I'm going to say that again. Clarity reduces fear. Avoidance fuels it. So this is step 3 in our 5-part series, what I would do if I was starting Pretirement now. I invite you to come check out Permission to Pause, because we're going to get into all this. It's my mission now. I want to help you create and design a life that brings you joy and fulfillment and happiness and impact and all the things while you wait to achieve whatever your retirement age may or may not be. I want to be there for you. So check out Permission to Pause. My name is Amy Palmer. I am your Gen X big sister signing out.